Netflix decided to bless us with a sequel to what is now Tall Girl 1, which, if you're not aware, was not a film I enjoyed.
You think your life is hard? I'm a high school junior wearing size 13 Nikes. Men's size 13 Nikes. Eat that.
I was hoping to avoid ever speaking about Tall Girl 1, but it's actually necessary to fully understand my grievances with Tall Girl 2. Tall Girl 2 is unfortunately conjoined forever with its predecessor. Tall Girl, to be fair, has some merit. You could say it was an attempt to bring awareness to society's unfair and unrealistic expectations of women and the impossible beauty standards placed on them. Jodi, our tall girl in question, is ridiculed and bullied by the rest of her high school class simply for being tall, and struggles with her femininity and body image. The actress Ava Michelle actually was featured on Dance Moms until they kicked her off the team for being too tall.
Next to Chloe.
Who does this to their kid?
Ava, you're too tall for us today. You're cut.
So tall women do face a certain set of challenges thanks to their height. The beginning scene was actually genuinely clever, with her towering over a boy who just asked her out when they were sitting down and he had no idea that she was 6'1". Tall girl. A tall girl trying to fit in a pair of shoes made for small footed women. Could be interesting. This was a story I'd never seen told before I saw Tall Girl, and I was genuinely excited to see how it would play out on screen.
You think your life is hard? I'm a high school junior wearing size 13 Nikes. Men's size 13 Nikes.
Oh, they ruined it. 3 minutes into this movie and they completely ruined it. It took 3 minutes for this film to ruin itself with completely terrible writing, and this wasn't the last time it would showcase the writer's Sam Wolfson's talent. I seriously LOL'd the first time I heard Jodi tell an entire audience that her life was harder because she has big feet. Jodi laced up in size 13 Nikes just to compete in the Oppression Olympics. Throughout this film, Jodi uses her height to self-victimize herself. Kinda like I did when I blamed society's hatred of gamers for the reason I didn't have a girlfriend instead of my terrible BO. That was a not true story, by the way. That was just for the memes. For the most part, the optics of the show are terrible. The unbelievably oppressed protagonist is a tall, slender, and all-around conventionally attractive blonde woman who has a black sidekick to comfort her while she faces real oppression.
Stay back, oppression. I don't want to harm you.
And the majority of people who bully her just happen to be people of color.
How's the weather up there?
And we're back.
Throw in a stereotypical rich Jewish girl for our main antagonist, and this is a melting pot of garbage. It's bad. Part of me wants to believe this is a self-aware shit show with scenes like Jodi and her mom discussing their oppression.
You just have to be strong in the face of adversity. I mean, that's how I got through high school.
Mom, everyone loved you in high school.
Oh,
10 guys asked you to prom. I mean, what adversity did you face exactly?
well, I was not popular with the girls in my class because I was so beautiful. Does that count as adversity?
No.
It reminds me of White Lotus, with rich white people complaining about society turning its back on white men while they watch Native Hawaiians being forced to exploit their culture for a paycheck.
Funny that now it's okay to reduce everybody to their race and gender, but isn't that the kind of thinking that we've been fighting against all these years?
But calling this film self-aware requires too much good faith that I just don't have. The film's lukewarm love interest is a kid named Jack Dunkelman, Jodi's other best friend, who has a tall girl fetish and just happens to sexualize her throughout the entire course of the film, to the point where he carries around a milk crate for the off chance that he might get a moment where he'll need to kiss Jodi. God forbid she leans down to kiss him, because women are supposed to be shorter than their male lovers. Wait. I don't think that's the message this film wanted to convey. I call Dunkelman a lukewarm love interest because there is no way you actually want him to end up with Jodi. Yeah, on paper it sounds great. A tall girl gets with a short guy and they fly through the glass ceiling and she becomes the first woman president and he's the first short king. Oh God, my fan fiction just keeps getting in the script. But in execution, Dunkelman is a obsessive little man who feels entitled to Jodi's returned sexual attraction and actually stands in the way of her happiness. But don't you worry, they'll fall madly in love by the end of the movie somehow. Even though throughout the course of the movie, Dunkelman just makes things harder for Jodi and her hot, steamy, sexy, Scandinavian lover boy. Time to introduce my favorite character, Stig. And I'm not even being sarcastic, I genuinely like Stig as a character. Stig, the foreign exchange student from Sweden who controls the wind upon his entrance. He's tall, beautiful, and blonde, but unlike Jodi, he's actually a decent person. He's genuinely kind, and despite his insanely good looks, he isn't vain at all. While he is flawed and does things like kiss Jodi while in a relationship and denies his feelings for Jodi when confronted about them in a massive crowd of people, he still ends up doing the right thing in the end.
I'm so sorry for everything in your speech.
I still want them to be together. Yeah. Not that that would matter at all to the story. I mean, there's nothing that's gonna stop Dunkelman and Jodi from getting together because they're just destined to be there for each other. He's arguably the only character with any real development, and he's an obvious match for Jodi because they just look good together. They actually do. They're a beautiful couple. A little bit like siblings, but it's better than her gawking at her actual sister.
Okay. Oh, I love it. That's the one. But I have 27 more upstairs.
No, don't even bother. It's perfect. You're perfect.
The movie's weird, okay? I'm not a fan of it either. On my rewatch, I realized Dunkelman's mom was black. I don't know how I missed it, although I did repress all memories I had of this film, so maybe that's why. But seriously, is Dunkelman adopted? Is she his stepmom? We'll actually never know. The mom is never seen again after the scene where Dunkelman discovers that Stig is going to be staying with him for the school year.
Surprise! Mom, what are you doing with the jumbo suite?
Surprise, surprise. Stig is staying with Dunkelman for the school year, which is a terrible predicament for him because Dunkelman is a petty, insecure, and bitter little man who wants nothing but bad things for anyone Jodi shows any sort of attraction for. But don't worry, this is our main love interest. Let's give him a chance. He even toes the line of eugenics in his argument as to why Jodi shouldn't pursue Stig.
Let's say that you and Stig date, get married, have a baby, and the combined strength of your tall gene and his tall gene creates a zygote in your belly the size of an above average sized watermelon. So that would mean that puppy's coming out cesarean.
Pro tip here, but using the potential genetic makeup of a couple's offspring isn't a great justification for why they shouldn't be together. Dunkers. You remember that evil antagonist I mentioned earlier? Kimmy? Well, she's actually really nice to Stig and approaches him on his first day, and they end up dating, and they're a great couple, and I mean, they're awful together, and like, Jodi totally deserves to be with a guy she hasn't even made an effort to talk to yet. Where does Kimmy get the audacity to talk to a single new guy in hopes to make him feel welcome and express her physical attraction? That mean girl. Such a meanie. The main plot of this movie is this love triangle between Jodi, Dunkers, and Stig, and Kimmy, so I guess it's more of a trapezoid type thing. Dunkers has a great girl who shows interest in him and who he actually vibes with, but she doesn't matter at all. Like, seriously, take her out of the show and nothing changes. In fact, it becomes a better show because it doesn't waste your time nearly as long. Jodi also has yet another boy show interest in her. It's actually one of her tormentors. I'm using that word very lightly here. Schnipper, who develops an obsessive crush on Jodi that doesn't look much different than another character's attraction toward her. Whoops, wrong movie. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Protagonists Jodi and Dunkers, they come across as this story's true villains. Jodi pursues a man in a relationship, and while it is Stig's responsibility to set boundaries with Jodi, he actually only ends up lying to Kim about his feelings for Jodi thanks to the advice given by Dunkers.
It was different than when I kissed Kimmy. It was really good, Dunkers. It was intense and passionate, and I could feel her heart beating. And
You're already in a relationship, you know? I think you should probably just focus on, that relationship.
Dunkers, what if I like Jodi more than I like Kimmy?
You, my friend, are dating the hottest, most popular, most sought-after girl in the whole school. So, if you keep that up, you're in line to be homecoming king.
Who tells him to deny his feelings for Jodi and to just focus on Kimmy because this is his one chance to be the Invar Kruver aka the most popular guy in school. And no, the truth never comes out. Dunkers gets the girl because he's a conniving liar, and I guess Jodi realizes the emptiness to her insecurities, and she recognizes she's actually physically beautiful, something that was clear from the first scene of the movie. Some other key things important to the sequel, Tall Girl 2, is the speech Jodi gives at homecoming about how being tall is actually pretty cool with better weather.
Keep calling me names, keep asking me how's the weather up there, because the weather up here, it's pretty great.
It's a very simplistic and surface level speech. I also want to take a moment to remind everyone that she was really interested in the piano in this movie. Jodi was a modern day Beethoven, but because she was tall, she had a fear of performing, despite the fact that you sit down while you play the piano. I don't know, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to act like I know what the hell was going on here, because I don't. The film was hated by everyone. As you could imagine, the internet had a field day with this content goldmine, with every creator farming millions of views as the world glitched and jokes just kept respawning. Tall Girl 2. Oh my god, I'm only on page 5. Now that I've skimmed through the train wreck of Tall Girl 1, it's time to get to the sequel. Tall Girl 2.
How did a guy like me land a girl like her? We get this all the time.
Well, we've been friends forever.
Oh, what is this? Out of context exposition meant to reframe the prior movie as well as serve as a launch pad for this new movie?
Tell me about it. I mean, I was constantly bullied for being tall.
Well, how's the weather up there?
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Luckily, I already explained how bad the first film was, so no way we're gonna fall into this trap to reframe the disaster of Tall Girl 1. Also, I love how they show us tidbits of Jodi and Dunker's relationship that happened in the purgatory between movies instead of actually building their relationship within the story of either movie. Don't worry, they're madly in love. Source? Trust me, bro. The fact the writer and director seem incapable to tell a compelling love story with these two characters should be a sign that maybe they shouldn't be together, right? But I'm stalling. I'm sure the rest of the movie is better than this awkward conversation with this random store clerk. So sorry you're not getting paid overtime for this, buddy. Jodi has now become the most popular kid in school because all it takes to overcome oppression is one speech.
Have you ever had a dream that you so much you could do anything?
Wait, I don't think that's the message the film is trying to convey, because that would be bad and tone deaf, and nowhere they're going to repeat the mistakes from the first film, right? We learn in the sequel that Jodi has a passion for the theater. I'm all for people exploring new interests and discovering new passions.
It's just an audition that you've been wanting to do since middle school.
Oh, she's been wanting to be an actress since middle school. But in the first movie, she was super into the piano and actually seemed like a really talented pianist.
I can't remember the last time that you sat down at the piano. Why don't you play anymore?
What happened there? This desire to be an actor literally came from nowhere, and it seems to have just been put in this movie to help conjure up a plot from the terrible purgatory of bad ideas. See, my biggest issue with this movie is the fact that it just shouldn't have been made. It's utterly pointless and no one asked for it. For all the hate the first film received, at least it told a story. Not a good story, mind you, but one with an ending. The two main protagonists ended up together. What else is there unless they were going to break up for no real reason? Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I actually want to talk about this play for a second. Because bad writers exist, a new, hot, sexy lover boy who serves no real meaning other than to facilitate the futile narrative being fabricated for no reason other than a poor attempt to spark controversy, and oh my god, it's working. Where was I? That's right, Sexy Tommy is introduced while Jodi waits to audition for this play she's always wanted to be in. Apparently. Just go with it, guys. Just go with it. Tommy is yet another unbelievably beautiful human being that is attracted to Jodi. Seems like being tall actually doesn't make you a terrible monster. Huh. The more you know. Reading Rainbow. Tommy knows every single word from her homecoming speech, which was a big deal, and this movie won't let you forget about it.
I'm a fan of your work, too.
My work?
Yeah. Keep asking me. How's the weather up there? Because the weather up here is pretty great.
You remember it.
I do. Yeah, every word.
How?
Let's just say you are extremely memorable.
It was a pretty simple speech, but still, it's very odd that he committed every last word of it to memory. Although it's good to know that all you need in order to make the world a better place is one speech. That's it. That's how you overcome oppression, folks.
Have you ever had a dream that you so much you could do anything?
Wait, that can't be what the film is trying to say. Is it? The writers do know that speeches, while they can be incredibly powerful, are not the end-all be-all when it comes to reform and personal change at scale, right? Let's just get to our audition, shall we?
So you've never performed on stage before?
Never.
What about that speech you gave at the homecoming dance?
Well, I wouldn't call that a performance.
You were on stage, in front of a huge crowd, delivering what was essentially an improvised monologue.
An improvised monologue? Jesus, give me a break.
And what would you say to people who don't think that being tall is a real problem?
Wait 1 second. I actually want to hear this oddly specific question that addresses a lot of criticism leveled at the first movie. Let's watch.
Getting a terminal illness, being homeless, not knowing where your next meal is coming from, those are real problems. You seem to have so much going for you. Do you have to complain about?
Doesn't make all the bad things that have happened to me every day my entire life any less real.
This is the same girl that said,
You think your life is hard? I'm a high school junior wearing size 13 Nikes. Men's size 13 Nikes.
Jodi invalidated an entire audience because she was tall, aka had real problems, and is continuing to self-victimize herself in the sequel. Are we sure Jodi doesn't want to become a gymnast? Because the way she's contorting her justification for calling herself oppressed is very, very impressive. But Jodi does have problems, and her problems are valid. I'm not saying Jodi has never had to overcome a single hardship. Hell, waking up every day is difficult, and props to everyone for lasting another one. To those we lost, I'll see you soon. Please save me a seat. And in all seriousness as well, my heart goes out to Ukraine, and fuck the Russian government. However, do we need an entire movie about a problem that is a wee bit exaggerated, let alone a sequel? To be fair, the sequel, Tall Girl 2, has nothing to do with the fact that she's tall. It seems it may have been an imaginary plot device that they smashed to pieces in the first movie thanks to her phenomenal speech. Give me a break. I wonder if anyone told activists that all they needed to do to fix the world was give a speech about... Wait, that's not true. Damn it! Honestly, I think the creators of Tall Girl were butthurt about the reception of the film and felt the need to patronize the audience as if we were insecure for not admiring their bold critique of a cruel, cruel world. This scene, in a nutshell, is petty and unnecessary, much like the rest of this movie. Okay, let's move on from this audition.
You don't deserve this part. You got lucky. You finally got your dream. You think you can actually pull this off?
I want to be very intentional with my criticism of how they approach anxiety and imposter syndrome in this film. On one hand, I genuinely love seeing a show heavily layer in the all too common anxiety that can quickly take form inside of people, especially when they encounter new stressors such as starring in a play. Oh yeah, she got the lead.
Why? Oh my god, I got the lead.
Of course, beating out far more talented people with actual on-stage experience, like Kimmy, for example, but I hope that was obvious. Back to the depiction of anxiety though. Many TV shows, short films, and movies in one way or another deal with anxiety in their text. It's a very common thing to feel, anxiety. It's a completely human emotion, and it affects people in various ways. Sometimes it can manifest into anxiety disorder, but that's not what is depicted in Tall Girl 2. No, Jodi is just a wee bit nervous about her first ever stage performance as the lead in a big musical. This is imposter syndrome setting in and making itself feel at home. Some narratives do rely heavily on anxiety to tell their story, like Big Mouth with its sea of monsters personifying the mental battle of puberty with its hormone monsters, and yes, the anxiety mosquito. It sounds a bit silly, but it was an interesting way to show the nuanced nature of mental illness and how people often have to deal with multiple monsters at a time. Anxiety, depression, and shame are kind of tied together for a blend of misery that is actually entertaining to watch while being relatable to an audience the show assumes went through a similar experience at some point in their life, if not during puberty itself. Or Stutter, the 2016 Oscar-winning short about a man with a severe stutter and how it has made connecting with the outside world incredibly difficult. He can't even get through a simple sentence in under a minute, so he shut himself off from the world. When the time comes to meet his online girlfriend, he perseveres through a rigorous mental struggle to find the courage to meet her in person and reveal the truth about who he really is. In that short, a voiceover is also used to allow the audience a glimpse into the character's mind, but the performance is so strong the voiceover only adds to it instead of the entire short relying on it. Also, he's a character that lives in his head for the majority of his life. A voiceover feels necessary to truly understand him. The different teams of creatives who worked on those separate projects found an interesting way to depict the nuanced nature of the wacky stuff that happens inside people's brains. In Tall Girl 2, they slap in a voiceover and call it a day, because anxiety is when your brain says mean things to you sometimes. The movie then has an entire scene about Jodi talking about the mean voice with her sister, which on one hand is cool. She's reaching out and talking about her issues instead of just shutting out the world. Like, I'm glad on that end, but also just the conversation they have is so weird. Let's get into it, guys. Buckle up.
Have you ever heard it before?
Well, I mean, there's always been a voice, but nothing like this. I mean, this one, it's just
Louder? Crueler? Makes you believe all your worst fears and insecurities are true?
yes.
Proves how ridiculously privileged Jodi is. To have made it to her senior year in high school without feeling anxiety is remarkable. I'd love to know her secrets, but I'm assuming it's part of some exclusive DLC or something.
That negative voice in your head, the one that tells you that you're a fraud, and all the wonderful things happening in your life aren't because you're talented or smart. It's just because you're lucky.
They're definitely talking about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a very real and well-documented phenomenon, very prevalent among women, people of color, and any marginalized group, really. The first research that examined the topic was done by psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Susan Imes, who first described the imposter phenomenon in 1978. Their study focused primarily on affluent, highly educated white women, meaning it lacked intersectionality, but still was an important step to understanding imposter syndrome and why people felt it in the first place. In the study, The Imposter Phenomenon in High-Achieving Women, Dynamics and Therapeutic Intervention, Clance and Imes explore why highly educated and fully capable women who have received praise for their academic and professional achievements feel like imposters, frauds who aren't personally responsible for their success. The patriarchal nature of our society, with the mixing racism, classism, and genderism, all add to the pot of reasons perfectly capable people feel the persistent anxiety around their work performance and achievements. The lack of representation in white guy-dominated industries like tech and film, as well as always having your input heavily second-guessed and undermined by your peers, mostly people who never had to question their identity and how other people factored it into their opinion of them, make imposter syndrome a common phenomenon for historically disenfranchised groups. I wish I could say Tall Girl 2 was bold for daring to include this issue in their film, but Jodi actually has real reasons to doubt herself. She's never acted before, hated the very idea of acting, and took the role from far more talented and experienced actresses. If she were, say, performing a piano recital, for example, this would fit a lot better because she's actually a talented pianist. But as it stands, she has absolutely no experience as an actress. None whatsoever. No, her improvised monologue doesn't count as acting experience. Once again, Tall Girl trivializes real issues to spice up their pointless narrative, and I'm not thrilled about it. If you couldn't tell, if this wasn't giving what it was supposed to give, that's probably why. At least we're almost done with this movie. Oh, we're 14 minutes into this hour-and-a-half feature-length film. Okay, let me see what happens next. Oh yeah. Kimmy corners the director in the bathroom to interrogate her about why she casted Jodi, which is something like a total mean girl villain would do, right? But the weird thing is the professor's response.
It's her understudy? Theater's about taking risks. And I cast Jodi as the lead because she possesses a rawness and authenticity that the role desperately needs.
The director justifies her choice to cast Jodi because the role desperately needed the rawness and authenticity possessed by Jodi, the inexperienced actress. I'm sorry, but what kind of BS is that? If that were true, the best actors in Hollywood would be the worst. Sorry, Timothée Chalamet, you're just not authentic enough to play a drug addict. Same goes for you, Zendaya. I'm taking back that Emmy. This sets Kimmy off on a rampage where she's about to do something truly evil.
All we have to do is humiliate Jodi so badly on the first day of rehearsal that she drops out.
Wait, nope.
Maybe I need to find out who I am on my own, instead of as your sidekick. That's all I've ever been.
Nope, yeah, that doesn't actually happen. Her partner in crime grows a conscience, so the possibility of Kimmy actually doing something to justify her as our antagonist is, thrown out of the window. Love stories where the antagonists aren't that bad, and things are just exaggerated for the sake of supporting a terrible premise. You remember Stig, the foreign exchange student whose biggest mistake was listening to Dunkelman? Well, yeah, everybody hates him now. Everybody.
Hey.
Wow, what are we celebrating?
We aren't celebrating anything because we are no longer friends.
Dunk, you wanna know my third favorite musical?
My God, I don't care.
Yeah, that's everybody except for Jodi.
Guys, he's apologized to us multiple times. Can you just give him a break?
the only character who has any authentic reason to dislike him based on all the information she doesn't know. I've watched both movies more time than I've wished to at this point, and I still don't know why everybody shits all over this guy. I'm honestly overanalyzing bad art, and I'm somehow still surprised of how bad it truly is. Well, let's keep going, shall we? The first scene of this movie that I actually like happens in this random store. We learn something about Farida, and her character actually becomes more than a stereotypical black sidekick.
Can you bring me a few of these? To sell?
She wants to do fashion, and her clothes are kinda cool, but the person who supports her more than anyone is Stig. I feel a budding romance incoming. Look, this is one plot line I don't mind at all. We simultaneously learn more about Farida and her want to break into the fashion industry, and see a fun love story emerge between Farida and Stig. It's really quite nice. While it does come out of nowhere, I actually like seeing a black woman become the love interest. Also, Stig and Farida's relationship is far more passionate than the limp, cold relationship between Jodi and Dunkers. Seriously, there is zero chemistry between these two characters. I just want them to break up already.
No, seriously, you're just gonna look at me one day and be like, "Blah."
You thought I was going to jump to the breakup scene, didn't you? Thought I was going to spare you from whatever this is.
And you're like,
Well, that'd be too easy. There's nothing like watching Jodi form romantic and passionate connections with every character who isn't her boyfriend. I love love stories where the two people who are madly in love are super awkward together all of the time, and are so much better with those other people that they'll never actually be with for some arbitrary reason. It's the first day of rehearsal. I get she's going to be pretty bad, but on the other hand, everyone else is really good already. It's almost as if everyone else has worked on their craft for dozens and dozens of hours just to get a minor part in this awesome play. Well, Jodi gave one lousy speech and is now offered the lead. I wonder why she might be feeling a little bit like an imposter. I mean, it is a little sus. What's Dunkers up to? Oh, making a romantic dinner for their 3-month anniversary. So sweet. Oh, no, not the smoking bird. Birds always seem so difficult to cook in these movies. I wonder if anyone read the instructions on the package or something. That might have helped him out a lot.
Oh no! Oh, come on!
Well, that sucks. His dinner is ruined. Oh well.
Hey man, what are you doing? With less than an hour to cook? Not much, Dunkers.
Boy, good thing Stig knows how to cook and has no hard feelings toward Dunkers at all, because that a totally believable conclusion based on the fact Dunkers is a total dick would ruin this part of the movie. Finally, we get to the inciting incident. A completely pointless fight. The fight is this. Jodi is clearly upset because of her play, and Dunkers says it's okay if she leaves dinner early so she can go rehearse. Jodi takes him up on this, and that upsets Dunkers, because his kindness has no real merit behind it. He was just being polite. This relationship is terrible. Someone just please break them up already.
I want to break up!
Great!
Finally, they break up. Thought I was gonna make you hold out this time. Well, nope. I followed through. Sure, they break up because of trivial miscommunication, but it's high school, and I don't want them together anyway, so I'll let it slide. I'm just so happy they're officially over, so Jodi can explore this new, sexy lover boy Tommy. Honestly, I've been trying to tell this story in a linear fashion, but it's been proving to be extremely difficult, because there's just so much fluff that happens. Fluff for me is when pointless things happen that distract from the main point of the film. Wait, this film has no point. Wait, goddammit, is this all fluff? It's all fluff. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment your favorite character down below. I'm just kidding. Laughing at stuff that's bad is fun. So let's keep going. You guys remember that scene in Tall Girl 1 when Dunker's black mom shows up with a foreign exchange student? Well, that scene happens again, except this time it's his white dad and Stig's hot, tall, blonde sister. She's tall and blonde, so an obvious threat to Jodi's relationship because those are all the things that made Dunkers like her in the first place. I'd also like to mention that Dunk's black mom is nowhere to be found in this movie whatsoever. If he has a black stepmom, that's actually really cool. Please put her in the movie. But that would be like real inclusion, and this movie just does black people on screen for brownie points. I'm kidding, but it does feel like that when they included her in the first film and then they completely wrote her out of the sequel on a whim. If you were confused by this incredibly straightforward scene, don't worry. Jodi's voiceover is gonna come in and clear it all up for you.
Looks like there's a new tall girl in town, and she just drove off with your boyfriend. Sorry, ex-boyfriend. Perfect timing.
Jodi?
I hate this voiceover thing they got going on in this movie. It's ridiculous. I don't know who okayed it. This is the quality of movies that they're putting out now. I've watched YouTube videos produced to a higher quality than this. Maybe I should make a video about that or something in the future. Foreshadowing in my YouTube channel. Real quick, I also hate the way they make Stig this hyper-positive Sweden half-wit. He just comes across so dumb in some scenes. Like when Dunkers realizes he's been a prick to Stig this entire time.
I guess you're kind of right. I never asked friends or your family or anything about you. You know what? I think I kind of blew my chance at being friends with you, too.
You did, you jerk. Of course not, Dunkers. I love you.
Why do you love Dunkers? He's awful. He's the worst character in the show. Accept his apology, sure, but he doesn't deserve your love. Stig has no self-respect, and it is hard to watch.
What do you think you're doing? Just working through some Jodi feelings I've kept locked inside.
This is the scene I used earlier when I insinuated Dunkers had a creepy, obsessive relationship with Jodi. Do you like my foreshadowing there? Did you notice it? Maybe you didn't. Anyway.
Going down that slide and kids would just yell, "Tommypotamus is on the slide, earthquake, take cover." I started exercising and eating right and got the weight off eventually. But I still felt the same way inside.
Tommy dealt with mean kids too. But does this have any relevance to the plot, or are we just exchanging war stories? Because I have a lot of those too.
For me, it's movie theaters. I've had so much stuff thrown at my head because I'm blocking the screen.
Please respect my struggle and sit in the back of the Wait, that didn't sound right. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for oppressing you, Jodi. I truly am. The pain from watching this is providing me with fuel. It hurts so bad. It's good. She can dance. Remember I told you a little bit about that earlier. And oh wow, they're kissing. Finally, she's over that weird short guy. Unfortunately, that kiss doesn't matter at all, other than to make Dunkers a little bit jealous and mad.
You know, there's something I actually need to tell you. I kissed someone. Dunkman, wait. No.
They still end up together, so that scene is completely pointless. Kind of like this movie. Let's fast forward here to something important. Oh, great! Now we know who to send hate mail to for putting us through this! Don't actually do that, guys. For legal reasons, don't actually do that. And for moral reasons, too. That's kind of just a shitty thing to do. Don't do that. Not that you would, but to take a break from the Jodi drama, Farida is having trouble selling her shirts. And we only know about this because the only character who cares is Stig.
I took my parents to the store thinking they'd be impressed. No. And they saw with their own eyes that their daughter, who'd been talking up her big future as a designer, had been marked down.
I really would have preferred this love story being the highlight of the film. Unlikely lovers caught in a messy past, but who can't fight the love pulling them into a relationship bound to get messy. I'm sorry, but it sounds so good. From this point on, nothing super interesting happens. Not that it was super riveting beforehand, but the later half of this movie struggles quite a bit. It kind of just limps to the forced ending of Jodi and Dunkers inevitably getting back together. But before we get there, Jodi is faced with a super huge dilemma of whether to go and support her friend on her birthday or go burn stuff in the middle of nowhere for caste bonding or some weird theater kid thing like that. Love my theater kids in this audience, okay? I'll let you ponder on which one she decides to prioritize. Look at that, everyone but Jodi managed to show up on time to her best friend's birthday. Jodi is in fact burning those amazing high heels Dunkers gave her in Tall Girl 1 for no reason whatsoever during her best friend's birthday party. You love to see it, folks! Stig and Farida sing an awesome duet that I can't show for copyright reasons, and they end up making out. And this is a genuine improvement from the first movie, because I didn't like anything at all from Tall Girl 1, but I genuinely do love this moment from Tall Girl 2. It's just really cool to see a black girl feel love too. Instead of just being in the background the whole show, doing nothing but being a punching bag for the main character. Kind of like they did in Tall Girl 1. I still think Tall Girl 2 is the worst movie though. It's all around just pointless, but this was a nice few minutes. The birthday party scenes in this movie support my thesis that Jodi is the true villain of this story. Farida kissed a guy Jodi is no longer interested in, and still prioritized Jodi in the way she'd feel about them being together. She respected Jodi as a friend. Jodi rolled up late to Farida's birthday party, and the first thing she does is seek out Dunkers.
Where's Dunk? I want to talk to him.
Inside.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Case closed. Do we need to say more? Pack things up, everybody. Time to roll. Just kidding. You're stuck with me. Jodi is an awful character. In 2 movies now, she's been close to being the most unlikable character in her own movie. And I guess she has Dunkers to thank for one thing. He's the only person more dislikable than her in her own movies. Also, let me just say that none of this criticism is directed at the actress, Ava Michelle, who, judging on that Dance Mom clip of her being forced out of a group because she was too tall, probably has some personal connections to the character Jodi. But with that out of the way, Jodi is fucking awful. I'm going straight to opening night, where Jodi has a panic attack and is comforted by Kimmy. Did I read that right? Kimmy, the meanest girl in all the land, is consoling Jodi, the girl who came from nowhere with no experience and somehow snagged the lead in a huge musical. Yeah, I just read all of that right. I wrote that, and it's still right. No way the mean girl isn't actually all that mean. Who would have guessed? It's not like we've seen this trope play out dozens of times before in some of the most popular media from my childhood. The play goes off with no problems whatsoever. It's a perfect opening night. For a high school musical, that's pretty unbelievable. But hell, what do I know? I actually only attended a few plays in high school, and I was just too stoned. Let's move on from this beat. After she pulls off a great performance, she still has that little voice inside of her head telling her she just got lucky.
Hey, I'm talking to you.
Which is actually pretty accurate when it comes to imposter syndrome. No matter how many times you succeed, it's actually really hard to tune out that voice telling you you're not worthy.
And this dream, it isn't so crazy. Are you listening to me? I can do this. Hello? I'm good enough to do this.
Wait, 1 second. She defeated the voice by just doing a good job at the thing she never did before. Oh yes, I should let the world know just how easy it is to really overcome anxiety and imposter syndrome. Just tell that little voice it's wrong. That's a joke. It's actually not that easy at all. But I guess I don't want to tall girl 3, tall Reggie, if you will. So I'll just let it slide. Dunkers professes his feelings, and the truest love in all the land reunites after they power through a simple conversation. I really don't like this movie. The main conflict was so easily avoidable, they had to do flat earther type of denial to fit it into the plot of an otherwise pointless movie. Jodi didn't feel imposter syndrome. She literally was just an imposter, surrounded by far more talented people who worked their ass off to be in a show that she just stumbled into and somehow still got the lead. Farida put up with an awful friend in this movie too, and they tried to justify it by making her make out with Stig, Jodi's not ex-boyfriend. But yeah, that's a great way to level the playing field, because 2 wrongs make a right. They introduced Tommy, a new character who doesn't matter at all other than, conjuring more pointless drama in a pointless narrative, and to, support the theme of don't judge a book by its cover, because he was a little chubby as a kid. He was a little chubby kid, so you can't judge him. You can't judge him at all. He may be insanely attractive now, but he was a little chubby as a child. Give me a break. What an incredible waste of time. How did this get funding? How did this get the green light? Nothing good is made nowadays, I swear. It's just pumping out pointless sequels to pointless movies that no one likes, but everyone's gonna watch for some weird reason, and I just can't take it anymore. Welcome to the end. If you watch this whole thing, I am genuinely surprised. Thank you for watching me rant about something as stupid as Tall Girl 1 and 2. I think calling Tall Girl 1 is hilarious for some reason. I don't know why. Just Tall Girl 1, the idea of Tall Girl 1 and Tall Girl 2 selling in a Blockbuster or something seems like ridiculous, but like in a funny way. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I also might be talking to no one right now, which is a super comforting thought. Alright, the wasteland purgatory that I'll forever be stuck in at the end of this video and all other videos. Oh. Like the video, please.